Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be a book review for Think Again by Jacqueline Wilson, which for anyone who doesn't know is Jacqueline Wilson's first ever adult novel. It follows characters from her Girls in Love series, which is a series that I really enjoyed when I was a teenager. I think I read it for the first time when I was around 13 or 14. So when I heard that there was going to be an adult book following those characters as adults, I was really intrigued. I was really interested to see how Jacqueline Wilson's writing translates into an adult novel. So I am going to be sharing my thoughts in this video. I'm going to keep the first part of this video spoiler free because I wanted to have a little bit of a chat about whether I would recommend this book and whether I think it's worth your time. And then I'm going to move on to some spoilers because I need to talk about this book. In terms of the synopsis, I'm not going to go into too much detail on the plot because honestly this doesn't really have a plot. It's very slice of life. We're following our main character Ellie as she is turning 40, so her life hasn't really gone how she expected based on her dreams from when she was a teenager. However, some stuff has come true. She does have a career, she's still drawing, and she still has a passion for art, which is something that has followed her from her earlier life. She's also a single mom and her daughter has now left home. She's gone off to university. So I expected this to focus on different things to what it actually focused on. I actually went to a talk with Jacqueline Wilson a few weeks ago where she talked about this book. It was to celebrate this book's release, and she talked about how she really wanted to create a book that is focusing on how life doesn't end when you reach your 40s, and I really enjoyed listening to her talk. I think that Jacqueline Wilson is such an icon, and I expected this to, I think, delve a little deeper than it actually did. I can remember how dark those original books were, and obviously those books are aimed at teenagers, so I expected a book aimed at adults to go a little further and to push a little deeper, and it didn't really do that. The majority of this book follows Ellie as she is reconnecting with someone from her past, and it gave me the ick. There were certain aspects that made me feel really uncomfortable, and there were certain things that were glossed over. For example, Ellie in the original series has an eating disorder, and the way that that was discussed in this book didn't sit right with me. I felt like there could have been a lot more nuance to the conversations, and that was the case with quite a lot of the themes in this. We didn't get to see much of her daughter, and we also didn't get to see much of Nadine and Magda, and I thought there was an opportunity with this book to talk about friendship, and especially how friendships change as you get older. And there was some stuff going on with Nadine and Magda. They had their own stuff going on, and I just expected to see more of them. I wish this had focused more on those friendships than this other character from Ellie's past who I did not care about at all. The first time I got to a sex scene in this, I felt so awkward, and part of me thought, okay, is it meant to be awkward? Am I meant to be cringing? But no, based on Ellie's reaction and how she's talking about how it was the best sex she's ever had, I thought, okay, this is not hitting how it is meant to be hitting. Didn't like it. It just felt really, really uncomfortable. I think ultimately this to me didn't feel like an adult novel. It still has Jacqueline Wilson's very distinctive writing style. You can pick up a book and know instantly that it's by Jacqueline Wilson because she has these very short, snappy sentences, and I did think that she managed to recapture Ellie's voice, so it felt very nostalgic in that sense. I think if I was picking this up as a standalone, then I would not have enjoyed this at all. I would have found it really tedious and repetitive. It did give me that nostalgic feeling that I wanted, but as a book, I think this kind of missed the mark. So I'm gonna give it 3 stars to recognise that I did get that warm and cozy feeling that I wanted. But yeah, as a book, I think this was kind of disappointing. I am going to move on now to some spoilers. So if you are planning on picking this up, which I would recommend, I think if you go in with lower expectations and you go in just wanting a nostalgic good time, then this could work for you because the nostalgia was my favourite thing about it. I think it was the story itself that I didn't like. So I'm going to get into those spoilers now, starting with with Gary. If you've read this book, you can probably guess what I'm about to say, but did anyone else find it really uncomfortable that she started dating her old teacher? Gave me the ick. I was really hoping it wasn't going to go in that direction. I was hoping she was going to meet up with him and realise this is weird, and then it would end there and she would go back to her regular life. And I was really excited actually when Alice was introduced, because I thought Alice had the potential to be a really interesting character, but instead we got pages and pages and chapters of her relationship with this guy who turned out to be super controlling, and I found it so frustrating. I could not care less about this guy. I think it was the way that it happened as well, and how it wasn't like they met up and then after a few meetings they started to date. No, they literally reconnected and then immediately it was clear that they were on a date, and I just found it really uncomfortable that this guy was okay with that. It was almost like he was planning to go on a date with her before he'd even met her as an adult, when his only memory of her really was when she was a school kid. I feel like that wasn't really addressed in as much depth as I wanted, and yeah, it just gave me the ick. And once a book gives me the ick, it means that it's difficult for me to come back from that. So that was the main issue that I had. And yeah, I think that if that whole storyline had wrapped up around the halfway point and then the second half had focused on her relationship with Alice, I think that could have been really interesting. When the book ended, my reaction was literally, wait, what? That's it? I was expecting for Ellie to have a conversation with Nadine and Magda and actually discuss her sexuality and the feelings that she was having. I thought, again, that would have been really powerful. Instead, it just kind of ended, and I don't know whether there are plans to write a second book. I don't know if I'm that fussed about reading it because of how much of a slog I found this book. It just didn't do what I wanted it to do. Like, I had heard beforehand that this was gonna focus on Ellie's sexuality, and I thought there was a real opportunity to show someone discovering their sexuality as an adult, but instead it just didn't really do that. It kind of slotted it in at the end and it didn't sit right with me. Just editing this video and I've remembered another storyline that turned out to be completely pointless and completely irrelevant, and that was the secret admirer storyline. Did anyone else expect it to be Russell, her ex-boyfriend? I don't know whether I was looking too much into that, but obviously he showed up at her 40th birthday and they had a conversation, and I thought we were leading up to this really satisfying moment where she was going to turn him down and have a go at him for the way that he treated her as a teenager. I thought that's the direction that was going in, but no, it turned out to be her cousin, who I don't even remember from the original series. So yeah, what was the point of that? There was no purpose. It really annoyed me, but yeah, I feel like I have been very, very ranty in this video, so I do apologise. I wanted to clarify that there were some aspects of this book that I did like. I saw a review recently that talked about how it felt kind of like catching up with a friend that you haven't seen for a while, and yeah, that was the feeling that I got. I just felt like everything was very surface level, and maybe it was my expectations being too high. I feel like my expectations weren't super high though. I don't know what happened, but yeah, anyway, enough rambling, back to the main video. I also found it a little bit confusing the way that everyone else reacted when Ellie told them that she was dating this guy. I found it really unbelievable. Like, a lot of the conversations in this didn't feel like they flowed naturally, and it felt like the characters weren't really talking how real adults talk. Like, if one of my friends came to me and said that they were dating someone that was one of our teachers, I would have some stuff to say about it. Like, I would ask them questions, and the characters in this didn't do that. They were just kind of okay with it from the outset, and I feel like that was quite a complex situation that should have been discussed. Even her daughter, when Ellie told her daughter that she was dating this guy, I feel like her daughter would have had some questions on that. It just didn't feel realistic, and I do wish that we had seen more of Ellie's friendship with Nadine and Magda. I thought that what they were going through could have been explored more, like Magda having to take on that step-parent role. It felt like that was wrapped up very quickly. We didn't even get to see her have the baby as well, which I thought would have been such a beautiful moment, seeing the friends come together for her. With Nadine, we did get to see Ellie be there for her when she needed her, and I thought that was a really poignant moment, but again, it all just felt like it was wrapped up very conveniently. And I think in a children's book or in teen fiction, then it's fine when things are wrapped up in a neat bow, but in an adult novel, I do expect more complexity. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap up the video here because I feel like I could ramble on and on about this. It was fine. I am glad that I read this, and I'm so glad I went to that talk with Jacqueline Wilson because she is an icon, and I really enjoyed listening to her just talk about her writing and her process and her career. I thought that, yeah, she was an incredible person, but this book just was not what I wanted it to be. So let me know in the comments if you've read this book and if you have any thoughts or feelings. Let me know if you agree with anything I've said and whether you would pick up a sequel if there is a sequel to this. I don't know whether she has any plans to write any other adult fiction, but I think I will probably skip them if she does because I don't think her writing translates into adult fiction. But yeah, rambling over, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye.